Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Sellerboard Show. My name is Vladi Gordon. My today's guest is Gary Huang from Seven Figure Seller Summit. And Gary is going to talk to us about seven key takeaways from his summit. So he interviewed over 30 different sellers and basically will share some tips with us today, summary from his event. So stay tuned. This is going to be interesting. Don't forget to press the like button, comment below if you have any questions. And if you are not a Sellerboard user yet, then make sure you check out our software, sellerboard.com. It's an accurate profit analytics tool for Amazon sellers for just $19 a month. And on top of the financial analytics, we have a lot of bonuses. For example, an inventory manager, a follow-up campaign tool for reviews and feedback. We have a refund finder for like lost and damaged goods, so you can get your money back, which Amazon owes you for like damaged and lost goods. We have a bid automation module, which you can use to optimize your PPC campaigns, and a lot more. So make sure you check out our free trial. Now let's start the show. Hi Gary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Vladi?
Doing good, thanks. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm the founder and I'm the host of the Seven Figure Seller Summit. And we were voted the favorite Amazon conference and event of 2020 in Seller Poll. So I'm just super excited to be able to come on. And I thought that, I interviewed over 30 seven-figure sellers. So I thought that it would be maybe valuable to your audience if I can share the top 7 takeaways, so they can grow their Amazon businesses also.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Very cool. Let's do that. But to start, talk us through your biography a little bit. How did you, get into this Amazon topic?
Definitely. Well, a quick overview of my background. I was born and raised in the US. I'm from Los Angeles originally. And I like to say that I was made in the USA and I was exported to China. So I don't know if you guys can see my face. I'm ethnically Chinese, but my parents were immigrants to the States. I was born in the US. So long story short, I was in China. I moved to China in 2008 in Shanghai, and then I found a job in sourcing. So I was the point person in our consulting firm. I've visited hundreds of Chinese factories. I've seen the good and bad, the ugly. I managed client sourcing campaigns, multi-million-dollar campaigns. So I did that for many years. I really learned the ins and outs of sourcing. And later I decided to come up with my own business called 80/20 Sourcing. So I had a blog where I continue to run it, where I teach people best practices sourcing from China. And then later, I got into e-commerce. Actually, the story is a little out of chronological sequence, but I also have an e-commerce background. I first started selling on eBay in about 2005. So at this time, eBay was number one. And then that's how I got first started in e-commerce. And then 2008, because of the financial crisis, I decided to make the move to China. And then I stopped that business. And then about 2015, I saw Amazon was blowing up. There was the FBA private label thing. And I'm like, hey, I know that stuff. I wanted to get back into it. And, why not? I'm on the ground in China and, I'm at the source. So I put 2 and 2 together. And then that's how I got back into e-commerce, selling on Amazon in about 2015, 2016. So that's my e-commerce background. And then in 2018, I was visiting a lot of these Amazon conferences in Hong Kong, Global Sources Summit. We met a lot of our, I think, common friends there. But at the same time, my family, my wife and I, we decided to have a baby. So I was grounded. I couldn't fly to these events as much as before. So this was 2018. And then that's why I decided, why not invite these 7-figure sellers to teach me and to teach everybody else, how to do it. So that's kind of the genesis behind the 7-figure seller summit. So we've already run 3 summits so far. And the last one was in August. And then we're running the next one in February 2021.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So let's get into it. Tell us about these secrets or hacks?
Yeah, definitely. So, well, I just first off want to share these are just my top personal takeaways from the summit. So, these are things that I'm using to implement to help me grow my business, but everyone is at a different stage as at their business. So, number one is mindset. Okay, number one, one of the speakers, Liron Hirschkorn, I really love what he
Hmm.
shared about mindset. He said that failure is not the opposite of success; it's part of success. And then
Hmm.
Liron shared that, no entrepreneur's first thing is going to be like a massive success or a home run. It's not like a straight line to the top. If they fail in one thing, they can do something else. Okay. So I agree with this. And in fact, the majority of the seven-figure sellers I've spoken with, their main success was not their first business. So similarly, Kellyanne Fadio, she exited her Amazon business for over seven figures. She shared that when she created her brands, there were a lot of peaks and valleys. Okay. There were a lot of ups and downs. Okay. So the takeaway is that, failure is not part of, it's part of success. It's not a straight line to success. So that's number one in terms of mindset.
So, did you have like failures in your private label business?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man. With the first product I sold, it was an Apple Watch strap. This was about late 2015, 2016 when it first launched. And this one went well. This one, like, we actually created a six-figure business in our first year. But after that, I launched more products. So I got into, like, posture support braces. And then, at that time when I first started selling, it was selling really well. We were selling like up to like 15 units a day. And then I started like getting more and more into it. But at the same time, later, a flood of competitors came in, and then I didn't make a five-star product. I was, getting by on
Hmm.
like, 3.8, 3.9 stars. And then later all these people overtook me. And then that's when I learned that, hey, like, not everything is going to be a home run. So that was one of the failures, because I didn't make a five-star product in the beginning because I was kind of greedy. I'm like, hey, it's 3.9 stars, we're selling 15 a day. That's good enough. But
Hmm.
that one wasn't a success. There are many others as well. We had some successes, but we had failures. But I think the important thing is you got to keep going. You can't just like let that one failure just like, end your whole journey.
Okay, so failure is part of the success. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. So should we move on to the number two?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. So number two is having to do with selecting a profitable product, because a lot of people, this is like one of their biggest struggles, right? And then I really love what Sharon Evan said. And Sharon Evan is a seven-figure seller and a mompreneur. She's a mom entrepreneur based in
Hmm.
Israel. And then she said, when finding profitable product ideas, she tries to be a big fish in a small pond. Okay, a big
Hmm.
fish in a small pond. And then when she looks for products, she says that she doesn't rely on software tools when selecting product ideas. In fact, she shared that when she first searches for products, she looks for products that solve a problem. So Sharon believes that when solving a problem, you will find a way to sell that product. And then she niches it down. So Sharon finds a product that everyone is selling, and then she sells to only one specific type of buyer for this. So in
Hmm.
other words, while everyone else is like a small fish in a big pond, Sharon chooses to be a big fish in a small pond. So take, for example, like a fork, like a kitchen utensil. Okay, so
Yeah,
everybody has one, and you guys have one in
yeah.
your kitchen. So rather than aiming to sell a generic fork to everybody, which is too competitive, she instead focuses on a specific niche with a problem. So for example, she focuses on the senior citizen, the elderly market, or the special needs market. Okay, so she would take a product with the fork with a lot of demand and create a product that has like an easier grip on it to
Yeah.
solve the problem of senior citizens. For example, they have special needs, maybe
Hmm.
they have arthritis, they can't use a
Hmm.
regular fork without pain. So she does that to create the special needs fork, to trying to, so to help them when they eat. And then
Hmm.
after identifying the niche product, then she performs the keyword research using the software tools to validate this demand. But the key is, it's not to disqualify a product idea just because it's too popular or too
Hmm.
competitive. In fact, there could be opportunities in the sub niche within that category that you can dominate. So focus on the specific customer and solve their problem. And then this is called being a big fish in a small pond.
That's interesting. So, what does this probably means that the pricing is going to be different, right? Because if you're a niche in a deep niche, you probably have some more bandwidth with respect to the margin, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked this question, Vladi, because this actually leads to the next takeaway, talking
Mm-hmm.
about the pricing and the marketing of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the big takeaways that I thought was super interesting is when you're marketing, try to sell up and sell down to add product SKUs and to scale your business. Okay, so Chris Davey, he's a successful seven-figure Amazon seller who recently doubled his sales from last year. So in his masterclass in the seven-figure seller summit, he shared the sell up and down strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And most sellers only to think, to check to see what's selling on Amazon right now, make a slight tweak to that product and sell it. But Chris, he thinks differently. And he says that you need to think beyond what you're selling on Amazon. So for example, if all the products are priced low, he asks himself, can the market accept a high-end version of that product? So he argues that in America, especially, most of the middle-class families, they actually have a budget to spend when shopping for a product. So if all the products are low end, in fact, there could be a prime opportunity that you can come in with a more high end or a more expensive version of that product to capture that market. So he does this by researching off of Amazon for similarly type products to get ideas how to create the high end version of this product. And then
Mm-hmm.
similarly, he does the opposite. If the market is filled only with expensive versions of the product, if it is, then he tries to sell a cheaper version of the product in order to capture the other end of the market where most people are ignoring it. So, but the key is to sell up and down, to think
Mm-hmm.
beyond what you're seeing on Amazon. So, in terms of the pricing, you can actually, go up or go down when it comes to that.
That's interesting. So I was thinking about pricing like of a race to the bottom, right? Because normally everybody's trying to sell down, and
Yeah.
at least for like commodity products, that's often what happens, right? Prices go down. But yeah, you're right. There's also this like upper part of the market who searches for premium. But tell me, like maybe also from your own experience, there's often this tip, like from experts and if you're researching about product selection, they say, okay, build a premium product, right? But what if everybody builds a premium product, right? You kind of get competition between premium products, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
is
true.
there a way around it, or what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, if everyone's building a premium product, do you mean in a specific niche, everyone is selling really high priced items?
yeah, it's not like they don't necessarily need to be high price, but rather premium, right? So you often
Yeah.
hear like from product research webinars,
Yeah.
just don't sell yet another, I don't know, jump rope. Build a premium jump
Yep.
rope, right? And then you can
Yeah.
sell it for more money, like make it more expensive. But what if like,
Yeah.
because everybody's listening to these tips, right? So everybody starts to build a
Yeah.
premium jump rope with, I don't know, golden jump
Yeah.
rope or
I
something.
think,
So,
I mean, on one hand, you can try to build a premium product, but on the other hand, you really have to look at the customer. Like, what do they really need, right?
mhm,
I mean, you can't just build like something premium just for the sake of saying it's premium. You have
mhm,
to, what I do is I look at the customer reviews,
mhm,
what sort of pains or what kind of problems
mhm,
are the competition dealing with, and then how can I solve those problems, right?
mhm,
So, I don't think it's just a matter of saying, oh, hey, I'm just going to build something in like a better material, but
mhm.
I mean, you have to look at the customer demand, right? Or
Yeah.
what they
Mhm.
need. That's the way that you can justify the premium product.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. So it's basically not just the packing and I don't know, golden color or something. It should be really another problem, an additional problem that you're solving, right? To make
Yeah,
it premium. It
yeah,
should be
yeah.
like,
I would, I always dig into the reviews. I mean, there's a
mm,
gold mine of information there, and just looking
mm,
at the competition, you can see, what else, what's missing. Maybe there's something that they used along with this, right, to go
mm,
along with this product, right, and then you can bundle it, something that makes sense, right,
yeah,
not just like, if you're selling a spatula and you bundle, I don't know, like a teacup. I mean, that doesn't really make sense, right? But if you're
Mhm.
selling a spatula, maybe, you need like a spatula rest, someplace to put that greasy thing
Mhm.
on the kitchen counter, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that solves their problem.
Yeah,
So, maybe
cool.
you can have, like a different color, but anyways, I don't want to go too far deep in the rabbit hole. I know we
Good.
have limited time, Vladi.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what else have you got? What's the next one?
Yeah. So the next one I think is really interesting because when I polled a group of about 27-figure Amazon sellers, what was the number one mistake you made on the way to success? Overwhelmingly, the number one mistake that they said, the top mistake, um, is that they admitted they hired too late. Okay. So in
Mhm.
terms of scaling, you need to hire so you can work on your business, not in your business. Okay. And, many of these sellers said not outsourcing quicker and trying to be a superwoman, which results in working in your business rather than on it. That was their biggest mistake. Others said trying to do too much myself. It's still a problem. That was their number one mistake. And then Egla Radik, she's a 7-figure seller based in Estonia. She said one of her top mistakes is she made on the way to 7 figures wasn't hiring soon enough. And then once she realized this, she started to list anything that is repetitive 3 to 4 times a month. And then this became a list of tasks for her
Mhm.
future employees. And then she created standard operating procedures and then taught them to her hires. And then she shared that we as entrepreneurs, we're creators. So we are always bringing more money in. Okay. And then we're hired to bring new money. So we need to buy more time. Okay. That's why we need to hire people to help us. Okay. So, I
Sounds
mean,
good.
it's
Yeah.
not, yeah. So, I mean, it's not so simple. I mean, there's like, if you want, we can get a little further deeper into this. Does that sound good, Vladdy?
I mean, I think I totally agree with this in general, and once the business is operating already, it's definitely a good thing to do. You need to like outsource everything basically until you don't have nothing to do. So you can only work on creative stuff, right? But like my problem when I was a seller, um, I, I had a budget problem as well, right? So I mean,
Mm.
how do you hire if you're like at the beginning? So I mean, like you need to have more. Either if you're in an investment phase, then you need to invest more, right? So
Yeah.
or if you're like you have tiny profits or small profits, then hiring would mean like you're again under zero, right? So what do you think about that? What's the right point in time when you need to hire somebody versus, do
Yeah.
it yourself?
That's a really good
But then,
question. If you're just starting out, I would recommend that you first learn the ropes, just,
mhm,
learn the process of Amazon before you try to hire. Because if you don't know how to, let's say do customer service, how can you expect to hire someone and train them to do it the right way if you don't know yourself,
mhm,
right? I mean, the same thing with, like managing reviews. I mean, I think that in the beginning you have to have to learn this, how to deal with a negative review, how to try to anticipate this, what to do afterwards, what to say to them, how to try to match the negative reviews the the potential customer. So in the beginning, I wouldn't recommend that you hire first until you learn the ropes yourself, and then also until you have some profitability. So obviously, using tools like sellerboard to try to give you like a clear picture, like, hey, at the end of the month I have a couple of thousand in profit. I can either decide to invest that into more inventory or pay myself, or maybe hire part-time VA for a couple $100 to start, and then try to scale that way. But I wouldn't do this outright from day one.
mhm. Okay, agree. All right, so let's move on. Number five.
Okay, number five, um, I want to talk a little bit about profitability. Okay. And sorry, one thing I forgot to mention about the summit is that we have 5 days over the summit, and then each day we have a different phase. Okay. So, the first day is talking about mindset. Okay.
Mhm,
And then, day two, we talk about marketing and branding. We're talking about earlier, like sell up and down. Day three is about scaling. Okay. And then, day 4 is about profitability, and day 5 is about exits, structuring your business to sell it. Okay. So the next takeaway is profitability, and then focus on, um, be on these silent killers of profit. Okay, what these people call silent killers. Okay, and you should really, in other words, you should grade and you should fire your SKUs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I spoke with Tyler Jeffcoat. He's known as the seller's accountant. He works with a number of 7 and 8 figure Amazon e-commerce store owners. Okay, and when I asked him for the common mistakes 7-figure sellers make, he said many of them don't grade and fire their SKUs. He warned to beware of silent killers or products that keep you in the red. Okay, products that are not profitable, you're losing money. So in other words, watch out for products that you sell that not only you're not making money, you're actually losing money. So he recommends that sellers find a tool with the dashboard to track your profits, to track your sales and your profits and losses. So if you find a SKU that's underperforming, he recommends that you put it on probation, try to rehab it, try to turn that thing around, better behavior, where you can look at ways to improve its profitability. But if that doesn't work, he says that you need to kill it, put it out of its misery so it can stop killing your profits. This way you can take that money, you don't want to throw good money after bad money, right? So you can invest that in your winners. So I think that was a really smart insight.
We're talking a lot about profit killers too, because
Yeah.
profitability is our job, as you know. But
Yes.
I wasn't thinking about it in terms of product. So I was rather like, okay, killer is maybe something that returns, right? Something which causes
Hmm. Yeah.
expenses, right? But
Yeah.
actually, that's a nice way to think about it. Of course, you need to kill products as well, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's not like a fee problem or something like this, but just a product problem. And
Yeah.
yeah, great and fire products. Sounds good.
Yeah. 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 I'm curious. I mean, would you have any benchmarks, like, when it comes to grading and firing products, with all of your experience and profitability at sellerboard?
I think the ultimate goal is profit, of course, right? So, and it's the ultimate benchmark because other than that, okay, I mean, in Europe, there are some situations when you probably might not want to sell too much, like make too much revenue without profit. Because, for example, I don't know, like a lot of German sellers are selling in Austria, and
Mm.
sometimes selling too much in Austria would mean you have to meet some new regulations in Austria. So there, you might want to say, okay, I'll kill a product in that country, at least even if it's profitable, right? But that's rather an exception. Other than that, I would just look at the profitability and just take all expenses into account, like the storage fees and the returns. It's a pretty big
Mm.
profit killer, and the PPC ads, of course. And you really need to find a way to attribute all the costs to a product, and actually to a variant as well. Sometimes, like a product might not be profitable, but maybe you can bundle it with another one, or like make a larger bundle. Like if you're selling, I don't
Yeah.
know, let's say socks.
Yeah.
Maybe not profitable to sell
Yeah.
one pair of socks, but it is to sell 3 or 5 pairs of socks because you
Yeah.
share the shipping costs, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So yeah, but yeah, basically take a look, make sure you account for all expenses, and then attribute to them to every single product, and then you can basically get a clear profitability picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That's great advice. Yeah.
But
Excellent.
yeah, I know actually also from our customers, um, especially at the beginning, when somebody signs up for software, sometimes they would say, okay, there's an error somewhere here because I'm negative on the product, and then we take a look and we explain, okay, you forgot this and this and this and this, so bad news, this is an unprofitable product, right? So yeah, that does happen, that sellers have unprofitable products, or as you said, killers, right? Silent killers,
Yeah.
and don't even
Yeah.
notice, right?
Right.
So
Right. And then, you can use a tool like
mhm,
sellerboard, to
right,
instantly bring that up to the surface. Right.
right. So I like this one definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. If you use that, please cite that to us. Check out more at the Seven Figure Seller Summit.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely a good idea to check out
Yeah.
your summit. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
perfect.
I can't take the credibility because it was from Tyler
Mhm,
Jeffcoat. He's known as the
mhm,
seller's accountant. So that's
mhm,
where I got it from. But you can check out
mhm.
his 1 hour session. I think there, if that's useful, there's a lot of other gold nuggets that you can take away to increase your profitability.
Sounds good. So what's
Yeah.
number 6?
Okay, number 6 is protecting your assets. Okay,
Mhm,
so a lot of times, we're always thinking about, almost like offensive, strategy, right? How to increase your sales, how to, have better like, PPC, but at the same time, in some sports they say defense wins championships. Okay,
mhm,
so I find that especially selling on Amazon, you really have to be careful with protecting your asset and, for example, brand protection. And then speaking with Kellyanne Fidio, seven figure seller, she shared that before she sold her business, her private label brand on Amazon was her biggest asset. Okay, so
mhm,
this is the case for many e-commerce sellers. Their brand could be worth more than all the cash they have in their bank, more than their car, or even more than their home. Okay, so it's quite risky to have all of your eggs in one basket, especially if that basket is controlled by Jeff Bezos, the owner,
mhm,
the founder of Amazon, right? That's why many sellers, they're looking for ways to protect their brands from hijackers that may piggyback on their listings, to leverage your brand to take away your sales. Intellectual property theft, where unscrupulous competitors may sell copycat products, steal images, steal your copywriting, as well as the biggest risk, getting suspended by Amazon. That's why it's very important to play defense, to protect your brand. So there's a number of ways to protect your business, including filing for a trademark for your brand and getting Amazon brand registry. And besides that, you can also file for a patent on your product if you have a unique design that you created. This can protect you from copycats. And then also documenting all the details of your product and packaging and your entire Amazon listing to have evidence in case people try to steal your IP. It's very important.
mhm.
Okay, according to CJ Rosenbaum, he's known as the Amazon seller's lawyer, and he works with many Amazon sellers to protect their brands. Okay, so sometimes despite the best intentions, your account may get taken down. You may get suspended, and you will need to file a case with Amazon. And you can do this yourself. And sometimes it might make sense to outsource this as well, because there are certain law firms that specialize in protecting Amazon e-commerce sellers, such as Rosenbaum Famularo, and they were a sponsor of the Seven Figure Seller Summit. So similar to outsourcing other tasks that are moving money and not making money, a professional, they may be able to come in to save you time and increase the chances of protecting your brand and getting your account back if you get suspended. So the takeaway here is to protect your brand, which may very well be your biggest asset. And remember,
Mhm.
play defense, not just offense.
I like this. Yeah, definitely like brand registry and trademark is definitely a good first step. And the other one, I think it's also interesting. Never heard about this. You said basically document the process of packaging and manufacturing the product, and right, because
Yeah,
this might help
yeah,
you prove to
yeah.
Amazon that you are the legitimate owner in case somebody
Yes,
fights
yeah,
against. Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. And also, um, some other good advice that CJ Rosenbaum made is to have like a screenshot of your product listing. The
Hmm.
images, the copywriting, and then because if someone comes in and changes it, there's
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard, people come and change your image,
Yeah,
right? And then that way you have that evidence. You can present that in your case when you open it with
yeah,
Amazon. So I think that could be another way you can protect your asset.
interesting. Make screenshots. That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
cool. All
So
right.
should
So
we move on?
yeah, number 7, the last one, right?
Yeah.
Last but
Okay.
not
So
least.
yeah, last but not least, okay. I think for a lot of sellers, their end game is an exit, selling their business, right? Maybe many people say that when you sell your business, it could be the biggest paycheck that you get from your business rather than operating it year by year. Okay, so I wanted to share 3 ways to boost your e-commerce business's selling price.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke with numerous 7-figure sellers who have exited, including Chad McGilsey and Kellyanne Fidio, as well as mergers and acquisition advisors and FBA brokers. And then they all agree that number one, having a track record of consistent sales is one of the essentials. It's one of the prerequisites for boosting your business's selling price. So this ranges from having at least 12 months of consistent sales up to 2 to 3 years. And
Mm-hmm.
the longer, the better. Okay, so that's number one, having consistent track record of sales. Number two is the more top line revenue or the more cash flow you have, the more this will open up potential buyers. So according to Chris Schifferling, $1 million is the absolute minimum EBITDA or earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation needed to get sophisticated buyers to wake up. Once you hit the
Mm-hmm.
1.5 to $2 million range, this will open up even more buyers. At $3 million is a different story, as you will attract another level of buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moreover, if you want to boost your EBITDA by having proper financials, actually knowing your operating expenses and lowering your Amazon tacos as well as cost of goods sold. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so speaking of cutting your cost of goods sold, one of the key themes is working with your supplier. Okay, supplier relationships, visiting them. Obviously, right now we're in the middle of the pandemic. We cannot visit them, especially if they're in China. But it still makes sense to have, for example, a cost down meeting where you can put the product on the table and look at ways to make things more efficient to cut costs. Okay, so
What
having
so
these,
what
yeah.
what's that exactly?
Mhm.
Like, is it cost down meeting? This is it a
Yeah,
like an
yeah.
official
The
name?
cost
That's
down meeting. Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
Cost
Okay.
down meeting is where, over time, let's say, you're scaling your business, you've been working with this supplier, for example, a Chinese supplier for a number of years, and, you're growing your business, but at the same time, in the beginning, you may not be getting the most efficient costs, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the whole supply chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's that one thing that material, maybe you can change that a little bit, or maybe there's that one part that's always causing a defect that's causing negative reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done this myself for one of my products, actually visiting the factory in China and then looking at the product and then identifying ways you can make it more efficient, or
Mm-hmm.
making ways that you can cut costs. I mean, it's really like diving deep into the weeds. I'm not saying, I'm not recommending this for like a new seller. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to fly to China to do this, but over time, that saving that maybe 50 cents,
Mm-hmm.
from your cost of goods, that could boost your profitability, maybe like, 5%, 10% bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
So, having these types of meetings, they're really good ways to make sure you can lower your cost of goods and increase your profits.
Actually, I have a question about this one. So it's basically about finding ways to lower the cost together with the supplier, right? Like
Yes.
another
Yeah.
way to lower the cost would be to tell the supplier, okay, give me a better price without changing nothing. So basically, reduce your margin, right? So you
Yeah.
can, and
Yeah.
and I know that's kind of complicated because I've heard that if you like, put too much pressure on the supplier, they start saving somewhere, and basically it results in a worse quality, right? So
Yes.
I don't know. What's your take on that? What's the best way to identify this kind of boundary? Okay, now it's enough. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good question, Vladi. It really depends on the product and how much margins your supplier has. I would say, I mean, this boils down to like negotiations as well. And
mhm,
also it boils down to relationships, how strong of a relationship you have with your supplier. And then in China, there's this term called guanxi, where it's kind of like a mixture of the time that you've been doing business together, the respect you guys have for each other, your growth potential. And also there's an issue of saving face, like because China is a very, they have the concept called 面子, like you can't you don't want to just like directly insult them and say, oh, your product sucks. Maybe you have to kind of like, there's like an art to it. It's an art and a science. Okay. But going back to your question, Vladi, I would number one, beware a price floor, because what you said is true. A lot of times, if you want that product, they're selling it for $5, you want it for $4, maybe, a lot of such Chinese suppliers, they say yes to everything. Okay, so they're like, okay, we can do it for $4, but they may cut a corner over here. They may change the material from stainless steel to aluminum. Okay, and then at the end of the day, if once you realize that and you complain, they said, oh, you wanted it for $4, right? We assume that, you can take that, So, I mean, that's why it makes sense to have a cost down meeting where, everyone's, in the same place, and we're kind of more transparent with like, hey, maybe we can, rather than replace it with aluminum, maybe, we can add, or maybe we can change the coating or, something else. That's why, we have the cost down meeting. But yeah, long story short, it's not like a black and white thing. But beware the price floor. You don't want to like go under the floor, and a lot of times the supplier will change it they're not as proactive in telling you, hey, we're going to do this to have that price. So just be careful with that.
Interesting. All right. So we've got cash flow. This is interesting. The more cash flow we have, the higher the multiple. Right. We have the track record. We talked about the suppliers. Anything else? How to boost the selling price? Or was that it?
Yeah. I would say another thing is having a brand that has like a very tight portfolio of products. Okay. So if you think of it, not just like one hero product that's getting like 99% of the sale, and like other like, like Minions, for example, because a lot of times the buyer, they want to like access like a new like marketplace. So maybe, if you look at, if you guys remember Dollar Shave Club, right? Like those guys, they were really targeting like the millennial, like the dudes market, like having that, that rough image. And then it was a stark contrast if you're looking at like Procter and Gamble, I think like Gillette, right? It's a very clean cut, it's a totally different market. But at the same time, the multinational, they're super weak with the millennials, because that's like, for the old dudes, right? So if, the big buyer, they can just like instantly buy your brand. And then if you have like a very tight portfolio, I mean, that's like a huge plus to them. They don't have to like, spend all the money on research development, marketing, and then, they can instantly get that. So having a very tight portfolio of brands that complement each other, that can help your selling price and the chances of you exiting as well.
Yeah, I think this is a good one. Well, when I was a seller, I didn't really think too much about branding. Basically, I came up with one brand, and then I was picking products just by numbers, and branding them with the same name. So it wasn't really a brand; it was just a name for all kinds of products, and they were from completely different niches. And I think in general, I mean, that might work if you're good at it, but this doesn't give you a strong brand, right? Because customers don't know, okay, is it a jump rope, or is it something for pets? What's this brand? It's everywhere, right? Yeah. So I definitely agree with this one. If you can kind of target a specific group or a specific niche, that's definitely a benefit when you're selling the business.
Yeah, and we had several seven-figure sellers that agreed with this as well. Talking about starting a brand, that's the most important thing. Chad McGills, he exited his e-commerce business in the pet niche for over $1 million. And then he said one of the big things that he was able to help them sell is he had a strong brand and large audience. And then he actually cultivated that through philanthropy. He shared that he really focused on pet owners who felt their pet was part of their family and not just an animal. And then he partnered with a charity which helped support pet owners whose pets had cancer, and then they needed surgery while their owners didn't have money to pay for it. So, Chad, he decided to run a campaign campaign where if customers purchase his products and shared a picture of them and their pets using the product, he donated a portion of his sales to support the charity. And then he even shared back a picture of the sick animal with the customer. And then that really engaged the audience and relationships. And then this really strengthened his customer loyalty. And then this is one of the key ways that Chad was able to differentiate his brand and eventually exit for over 7 figures. So yeah, building a brand,
Cool.
that's super critical today.
Gary, thanks so much. I think that's it, right? These were the 7 things. So tell us where our users can find you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks so much for having me, Vladi. And then I'm honored to be on the Sellerboard podcast. So if this was useful to you guys, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We interviewed over 30 seven-figure sellers at the summit, and then you can find out more at sevenfiguresellersummit.com, and then you can get a free pass. And we were voted the favorite Amazon conference event of 2020 in Seller Poll. So we had 3,500 people that attended all over the world at the last summit. So we decided to re-release the summit. So if you haven't seen it yet, then you can get a free pass at sevenfiguresellersummit.com today. So you can level up your business as well and get the full interviews from what we talked about today.
Sounds amazing. Thanks so much, Gary. Then have a great day.
Perfect. Thank you, Vladi. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. Sure.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like this video and comment below. See you soon. Bye-bye.